Well, let's get more on what the Liberal Democrats think. The Business Secretary, Vince Cable, joins us from Westminster. Hello to you. Labour there saying that they are fixing your ridiculous broken system.
It's not broken, it's not ridiculous, and it works extremely well, and that's not simply the view of a politician. If you look at the international organisations like the OECD that have compared funding systems across Europe, they agree that our system is the best, and it's the best because universities are properly funded. They haven't had to take significant cuts like other bits of the public sector. They've got plenty of finance. Students are not being discouraged because they don't pay cash when they go to university. The rising numbers, as you've fairly said, and rising numbers of disadvantaged students. And when they graduate, we have a fair system of repayment. That people who don't have high-paying jobs, in other words, if they don't earn up to 21,000, they don't pay anything. And they pay proportionately more depending on their high income. So under our system, which is effectively a progressive form of graduate tax, the investment bankers of the future will pay relatively more. And the Labour Party, for some perverse reason, wants to turn that inside out.
If it is the obvious best system, why did you in the first place promise not to bring it in?
We shouldn't have done. It was a bad mistake. It's done us a lot of political damage, and we apologise for it. But of course all political parties have made a mess of this. I mean, the Labour Party has twice before made solemn pledges on tuition fees. They promised not to introduce them, and they did. They promised not to increase them, and they did. The Tories had a free tuition policy at one point, and then they had to go back on it. We should have learnt the lesson of experience that, you know, we have to be realistic about the funding of universities, and this is what we're now doing. And I think the Labour Party is making a terrible mistake here. I mean, either it's very cynical, a belief that they would never have to do this if they got into office anyway, or they really believe what they're doing, in which case, frankly, they are financially illiterate because they don't understand how universities are funded and they don't understand how the government budget works.
Well, why is it financially illiterate? If they close the funding gap and universities don't lose out, what's the problem?
Well, very simply, I mean, they're proposing to tax pensioners. But if they tax pensioners, the money goes into the Treasury. It doesn't go to universities. They may say initially, well, you know, this money will be switched across to universities.
Yes, tax relief on higher earners on pensions.
Yes, well, there is an argument for, you know, there may be an argument for doing that for general policy reasons. The money will simply go into the Treasury. If better off pensioners, and I'm one, I'm a grandparent, I'd like to help my grandchildren as other older people do. And the way to do it is you simply give them some cash to help them through their college or through their apprenticeship, whatever you're doing. But the idea that you can somehow, you know, ring-fence some bit of taxation and guarantee future income for universities, budgets don't work like that. They never have done, never will do.
But haven't you just underlined the whole problem that you have well-off middle classes who do help their sons and daughters for university so they are not saddled with debt, whereas others who don't have those resources behind them are?
Nobody is being saddled with debt because when people graduate, they don't pay a fixed sum. It depends on their income. This is the fundamental
if they have a high income, it's still a debt.
But if you're a low-earning graduate, if you go for university...
No, but if you're a high-earning graduate, it's still a debt.
Let me just try and explain it. If you leave university and you have a low income, below 21,000, you don't pay anything. If you take time out to have children as a family, you don't pay anything.
And then the government has a black hole.
It's not a black hole. We consciously give people tax relief. There's no question of black hole. 35 years' time, when all of this crystallises, there may or may not be a deficit in that budget. We don't know because we don't know the way the economy is going to evolve over the next 35 years. That's 2048 and 49. I mean, you know, many of us will be over 100 by the time that happens. Nobody can predict the course of the economy. It's absolutely absurd to base university funding policy today on somebody's arbitrary prediction about what may happen in 35 years' time. Absolutely ridiculous, and that's why I call it financially illiterate.
Vince Cable, thank you very much.